You're listening to the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast, episode 32. And today I am not going to be giving you tips or advice on what you or your teen should or could be doing. Instead, here are 7 things I see a lot of struggling students doing that are keeping them stressed, keeping them working harder and longer than is necessary, and stopping them from achieving the results that they are truly capable of. I'm Katie Jones, and with over 15 years in education as an award-winning high school teacher, international external examiner, and as a study coach, I've helped thousands of students skyrocket their results and confidence. And this podcast is where I share all my insights, tactics, and tips with you, the parent, so you can help your hardworking teen get happy, smart, and successful in their study, and have you both enjoy the journey along the way. This is the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast. Hello, my very important parents. I hope you and your teens are making the most of this last week or so, most likely, of the holiday. I cannot believe that I am saying that. I know it happens every year. We look forward to the summer so much and then it just whizzes by. But I hope that at least it has been, because time flies when you've been having a lot of fun. And I can at least say that for sure, my end. I do feel like I have had a really good mix of lots of productive hard work and a lot of fun and relaxation as well, which for me is just the perfect mix. Though the house right now feels pretty quiet, as my dad is now back in not so sunny England, and my dog Bonnie is wondering where the extra ball thrower in the house has gone, bless her. But I am really excited for everything that I have got planned for you and your teens, if they are already in the 10WGT or next level for this year. So definitely keep an eye on your emails for more details coming right up very soon. Now, in my excitement and energy, I wanted to do something a little bit different for today's podcast. So we're actually going to be talking about what not to do, and for a very good reason, because sometimes it is actually easier to identify what not to do, because if your teen is doing them, then they are going to stand out like a very sore thumb once I go through this list with you today. And using non-examples, which is what we call them in teaching, it can be a really helpful and effective tool for teaching and training and learning. And I actually had this happen totally unplanned, but in a really brilliant way on one of the webinars that I ran last year. I think it was the Exams Focus webinar, because I was explaining about active revision and all about how to make passive revision active, and I was having parents type in examples that would specifically relate to their teens' own subjects and topics. And one parent typed in the idea of making a Wordle of the keywords. Now, Wordle in this case, it's not the online word game that I know loads of teenagers are playing at the moment, which is actually kind of cool, instead of, snake or the ball going down the alleyway thing. Can't even remember what that's called. But one parent typed in about making a Wordle where it's like a graphic design of all of the keywords, still done online, that creates almost like a collage design of all of the words. And I have definitely seen this done for displays, for topics, for subjects. And I totally got where they were coming from, because I could see that they were thinking that would be turning text into something visual, from information into something more creative. However, I picked up on it and I tried to really kindly correct them and explain why it didn't actually count as transforming information, because it was still the same words. They were just displayed differently. They weren't actually in a different format. And the online generator would be just making the design. It needs to be the student that's doing the processing. So it was actually a really great non-example. And although I would never want anyone to feel silly or wrong, especially when they are actively participating in the session, which is amazing, I just didn't want to let something that was technically incorrect, just let it go, unspoken, and not address it. And you know what? I got an email from this wonderful parent right after we finished the event, and they told me how grateful they were that I picked up on that error and that they really appreciated how I explained it. And they even went on to say that they already knew about themselves that they learned best with non-examples. And so I thought I would use this concept as we launch into a new school year with the aim that it might flag some of these things in a clear and obvious way for you and your teen. So here are 7 ways for a student to stay struggling in their study, either struggling to get the results that they want, or they're already getting their top results, but they are struggling to do it. They're doing it the hard, long slog way. So in no particular order, they are: number 1, not identifying the command word in every question. This means that they often either end up writing too much because the command does not require it, and so they end up running out of time in exams, or they don't write at the correct level when they might have lots of factually correct information and plenty of it, but they haven't necessarily done what the command instructed. They maybe haven't analyzed or compared or evaluated. They may have just described or explained, in which case they may not be losing time, but they are going to be losing out on marks. So not identifying and understanding and responding to, I should really put in there, the command word in every task and question is number 1. Number 2. This is one of my favorites right at the moment, and it is launching straight into an extended response or essay. If your teen wants to stay struggling as a student, they should definitely launch straight into writing any extended response or essay. They should not be planning it. They should not be outlining all of their specific evidence, how they are going to analyze that evidence. They should not be determining what their thesis statement is going to be. They should just start writing, because that is the surefire way to end up in the waffle zone, end up going off on tangents, and risking not answering the question. Number 3, making ineffective and inefficient notes. So if they want to stay struggling, they should definitely be just copying out notes, copying diagrams, copying chunks of text, doing it longhand. That would make them very ineffective. And to make it inefficient, they could also spend loads of time making them look really beautiful, where they do the lovely calligraphy font and they lay and draw everything out really exactly so that it's just taking them twice as long as it needs to. Number 4, making a study planner or a revision plan that says things like 2 hours English study. So there is no specific outcome. It's all very vague except for the amount of time. There is no outcome given. They don't know exactly what they're going to produce in those 2 hours or why that is going to be useful. Even worse, they might say something like Tuesday evenings is for English study. So they don't have specific timings and they don't have very specific nitty-gritty outcomes. Number 5, practicing the easy questions. So when they are doing practice questions, when they are doing past papers, when they are doing maybe math study, they are going through and doing lots of what I call the feel-good questions. So they get lots done, they feel great about themselves, but they are not giving themselves the optimal level of challenge. Now, if you want some more on this, definitely go back and check out episode 30, which was called If It's Not Difficult, It's Not Doing Anything. So definitely go check that out if you think your teen might be spending lots of time feeling productive and they're not just being slack, but they're not doing the best questions for them. Number 6 is doing wider reading around the subject in order to get more marks. Now, notice I've said in order to get more marks, not just because they might love or have a personal curiosity for the subject. If they want to do that in their spare time for those reasons, that's of course absolutely fine. But if they think they need to do more reading around the subject outside of the syllabus in order to broaden their knowledge, and maybe they've even been advised to do this, then that is most likely for 95% of students not the most critical thing that they could be spending their time on in order to increase their performance and their results. For most students, that is not the leakiest hole in their study bucket. That is not what is causing them to lose marks. After all, exam boards do not have questions on their papers that go beyond the scope of the syllabus. And although students can still get credit for using examples that are beyond the syllabus, they can still get full marks for just using the information that is within it. So if they're going to be spending extra time and energy, do they want to be spending it on that? Or should they be spending it on getting the skills and techniques that are going to allow them to put that information across in the best way, in the way that the question demands and the mark scheme requires? So doing wider reading around the subject is a great way to spend more time on things that are not necessarily required or not required to get more marks. Number 7, final one, setting themselves up for distraction while studying. So listening to music with lyrics, having their phone nearby and having notifications popping up on their laptop, going into their emails mid-task, having a messy desk or study space where it just takes ages to find certain items or just becomes a great distraction in thinking, I'm going to tidy up this space instead of doing whatever the task is that they should be. This is a great way to set themselves up for distraction. It's a great way to get unfocused and make tasks take twice as long as they should be. So if you do see any of these happening for your teen, then you have to come to my next free online parent event. It is going to be a big one. That is all I'm going to say for now. So if you're not already on my email list, you can get on there by grabbing the free parent guide on the website. It's at www.rocksolidstudy.com/guide. Go grab that. And if you are already on my email list, be sure to have support at rocksolidstudy.com on your whitelist, in your contacts, so that nothing ends up getting diverted to spam or junk folders. And in the meantime, go back through that list of 7 ways that your teen can keep on struggling as a student, which we do not want them to be doing throughout 2023 or beyond. And if there are a few alarm bells starting to happen, then just know that all of those are fixable. And I will be continuing to share tips, insights, and advice here on the podcast and in my special events. So stick around and I will see you next week. Have a brilliant week. Bye for now. If you're ready to have your teen achieve their best possible results with less stress, then I want to invite you to enroll them in the 10-week Grade Transformation Program, where they're going to learn the key concepts, skills, and strategies to catapult their performance in assessments and exams. It's risk-free. They either achieve bigger and better results with a whole lot more confidence in 10 weeks, or we refund you in full. Just head over to www.rocksolidstudy.com/program, and I'll see you there.